Welcome to Season 4 of Hoda's Career Info, the program where career professionals from across the globe meet to empower you to succeed. I am Hoda, your career and academic coach, and our special guest today is my mentor and supporter of my work, executive career coach Don Orlando.
If you're starting out, sit down and envision your practice the way it would look if it was working wonderfully. It is important to choose an ideal client, but I want to put that in context. What you're doing is you're choosing the person who will see you as the ideal provider. You're hired as a problem solver. Whatever job you're going through, you're there to solve problems.
Thank you for joining me in Hoda's Career Info, your program where guests from across the globe share career tips and personal stories to help you successfully navigate your career. Watch, listen, and learn. Remember to like, subscribe, share, and follow me on social media for more career info. More importantly, make sure you have that very important career conversation with a career professional. Our guest today on Hoda's Career Info is Don Orlando. Don Orlando was a career coach before the industry had a name for what he does. One of his certifications is shared by only 9 others on Earth. For years, he has guided rising, senior, and very senior executives, helping them win the careers they've deserved and get paid what they are worth and reduce job hunting stress. Don is one of only 2 to ever win the Career Management Alliance's Mentor Award. He wrote the first certification to help career professionals support veterans and their spouses. Don is a frequent conference speaker. His articles in the leading trade magazine have appeared monthly for more than 25 years. He also serves on the board of directors of the Professional Association of Resume Writers and Career Coaches. Stay tuned as Don reminds us that when applying for jobs, think about the problems that you can and are willing to solve, since most companies are looking to hire you as their problem solver. Don Orlando, it's such a pleasure to have you join me today in Hoda's Career Info. I've been excited about this call for you to come and share all the expertise and the knowledge that you've accumulated for many years now. How are you feeling about the interview, Don?
Well, I am pleased to be here because working with clients is very rewarding. Working with colleagues is even more rewarding, and I couldn't have done it without you. So many thanks indeed.
It's my pleasure and my honor, Don. And right away, part of this program, Don, is to ask my guests to share a personal definition that really represents of a key term that represents the work that they do, and to define it from your perspective, Don. I know you do a lot of stuff, and it's hard to narrow it down to one, but perhaps one key term?
Yeah, I mean, among career professionals where we have jargon, labels, if you will. So, for example, people say, oh, I am a resume writer, I am a career coach. It tells me what they do. When it comes to what I think I do, I am really here to enhance the work life of my clients and their families for years. When you think of it, they're spending, because my clients have a tendency to be in the executive area, they're spending 50 to 60 hours a week. That's a lot out of their lives. And I want their lives to be rewarding. That's primarily what I do. If I have written great documents and it isn't helping my client have a more rewarding work life, I failed.
So when they reach out to you, Don, who are they reaching out to? Like, are they reaching out to Don, the career coach, or Don, the resume writer,
Uh,
or you're more than that as well?
well, I offer a huge number of services, but one of the reasons that I do all of my own resume writing is I want the clients to know they have my undivided attention. And the coaching portion fits into the resume writing portion very, very well. And it makes my life easier and it makes their life easier. Now, what this means is I only work with 4 clients at a time because the workload is that detailed and it's that continuous. Does that help, or did I miss anything?
I appreciate you taking this on, the detail of it. And yes, it does help. It's just everybody knows what Don does and what's important to him.
Ah.
And again, in an effort to help the audience to get you a little bit more, I'm going to ask you to share your personal story, either your whole journey that got you to where you are, or perhaps one journey, one journey that you think was important and defined where you are today, and embed with it a message to the audience that you learned from this journey.
I became a career coach in the worst possible way. I didn't understand how to enrich my life through managing my career. Now, before I was a career coach, I had a full career. I retired as a full colonel in the United States Air Force. What was unusual about my career is I applied for every assignment I had. And basically, I wrote the equivalent of my own resume. That was not something that most people did. And I did that for my friends as well. And I had a long background. And it's still rewarding in training and development. So I thought that's what I would want to do. And my late wife, Nina, said, how come you're not thinking about doing what it was that made you successful? Why are you not moving people's career forward? And what was really interesting about this, remember, this is 1993. We really didn't have an internet. And I thought, I need to find a professional organization to help me. And it took me 1 month to find the organization. And what that told me, Hoda, was there is a very pressing need because the professional organization, which is composed of and serves members of that particular career field, they were having a hard time getting the word out. So I thought, it's not just me who think there's an opportunity here. That's how I became a career coach. And obviously I did continuing education, professional development to do that.
You talk about continuing education, Don, and you have a lot to show. In addition to your MBA, I noticed that you have the ones you have posted on LinkedIn, at least 7 other certifications.
Yeah.
So I can tell you're a lifelong learner, which I love. And I want to congratulate you on these accomplishments. And with those certifications and your continuous lifelong learning, what advice would you give to new career professionals trying to decide, where do I start, which certification to choose?
Yeah, okay. Begin by recognizing that you are as important as your most important client. This is something that is almost a calling. So if you're starting out, sit down and envision your practice the way it would look if it was working wonderfully. Write it down. Write everything you can think of. Some of it will be objective. I only want to work 40 hours a week. I need to make this amount of money and so on. But go ahead and add anything else that you want. I strictly want to be a writer. I want to learn how to be a career coach. Describe everything that you want it to be. Then ask what you already know and find the certification and membership that will allow you to close that distance. Let me give you a perfect example. In the United States, we have a large number of veterans. Those veterans on active duty, armed forces. Almost all of these people have never had another job. They graduated from high school, they graduated from college, and they went right on to active duty. It was an entirely different culture. And so their expectations, even their understanding of what work looked like was entirely different. If I were a resume writer and a career coach, I would say, what do I have to know about that culture in order to serve them well? That's the perfect example. And you do it regularly. For example, when you are finished describing your ideal practice, that goes into your business plan. If you do not have a business plan, then your practice will run you. And the business plan is not something you write and put on the shelf and never see again. I look at mine every quarter. And I'll just close with this example. When I started, the only advertising channel we had was the Yellow Pages. You may remember that historic document.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, it was the only thing. And the problem was I opened my doors on the 1st of September, but the Yellow Pages came out in May. So I realized I had almost 8 months with no advertising. So when I did my business plan and I put down how much I thought I would make, I had a number for that. And at the end of the quarter, I compared my number with my estimated number, and it was 34% higher. Wait a minute. Did I make a math error here? Why am I getting all of these clients with no advertising? And I found out what was happening was, at the time it was called promotion, now we call it networking. I suddenly realized where it was coming from. The next quarter, I stopped advertising in the Yellow Pages. Periodically take out that business plan, make sure it's working for you.
Such great advice. And I like that you said quarterly, because sometimes we think annually is enough, but quarterly is probably more involved. And you are on the internet now, so you have gone way beyond the Yellow Pages. I was curious who you would describe as your ideal clients, and here's what popped up: rising, senior, and very senior executives.
Yes.
So I have a few questions. I can ask all three of them right away, and then allow you to, to pick and choose which one you want to answer in what order. But if you want, I can repeat to them one at a time after. So the first question is, how did you choose your ideal client? Again, thinking of that same person who's just starting out, is it important to choose an ideal client, and why?
Yeah, it is important to choose an ideal client, but I want to put that in context. What you're doing is you're choosing the person who will see you as the ideal provider. That's the match between what they offer and what you offer. Too often people say, well, starting for me, I believe my ideal client should be, that's fine. If you're going to do that, ask the question, how are you uniquely equipped to support them? Because that's what's going to make you successful. How did I work with rising senior and very senior executives? Well, the uniformed services are the only people who promote on the basis of leadership alone. And so I was surrounded by people who had to practice leadership. And their level of responsibility was far, far beyond what any executive in the civilian world would normally take on. So for me, that was the ideal client, because I spoke their language, I had a sense for what their goals are, and I found it rewarding for me to do that.
And you highlighted that it's important to choose the ideal client. Anyone starting out, how would they, try to narrow down and find their client? You gave us an example of how you did it, but do you have other examples that you can share, perhaps?
Yeah, there are all kinds of specialties I guess the two kinds of specialties are the level of the work. So I have colleagues who work with graduating people who are graduating from college, getting their first degree.
Mhm.
Okay, that's too limiting for me, but she loves it. That's fine. You can have mid-level, you can have senior and so forth. So you can look at the level, and that has to do with the level of responsibility. The other thing is you may have a preference for an industry, or you may have a preference for economic sector, nonprofit, government, private sector. If you're not sure, for example, let's say, I think I want to work with newly graduating college students. Okay, that's good. You need to find out what they don't know. How do you do that? Well, you talk to the career development services of colleges and universities, and you ask, I'm not here to compete with you. I'm just here to learn. Tell me what your average student looks like. What kind of services do you provide? What seems to be their most pressing need? That's what you really want. And when you find out the most pressing need, if you feel you can serve that need, then that's exactly the place for you. For example, there are one or two people in the United States who focus on federal applications. Why? Because it is the most cumbersome system you've ever seen. I hate doing them. The reason I hate doing them is because it's so administratively burdensome that I consider that busy work. They like it, I don't. So if you're starting out and you're envisioning your ideal practice, you're envisioning the person for whom you would be the ideal coach. So let's say, for example, let's say I want to work with attorneys, career development for attorneys. And I find out what the culture is and I find out how that works. And it's not something that I relate to. I didn't waste all of that time. What I found out was that that was not the career for me. It's like when Edison developed the light bulb and he went through more than 500 filaments, all of which failed. And every time people would say, failed again, he said, no, I didn't. I learned one more that wouldn't work. And that's where I got to where I wanted to be. Same thing with career professionals.
That's a great reminder that failures is part of the journey for sure. And it's, if we look at it as a
Yeah.
learning experience,
Yeah, I'd take out the word failure, put in
learning experience for sure. I do have one more question for you, Don, and that one I ask of all guests because I work with young people and they say you have to step out your comfort zone, go out and explore. So continually step out of the comfort zone. For sure. Lifelong learning journey shows that you are not afraid to take and try new stuff. And you are here on the internet all the way from the yellow pages. But what are you doing today that you can share with us that shows that you're still stepping out of your comfort zone, or perhaps you are embracing a new opportunity within your practice that you'd like to share with the audience?
Yeah, I think this is shared by a lot of people. I do not understand entirely how AI, artificial intelligence, works. I don't understand the concerns of lawmakers regarding artificial intelligence. I don't have a sense of whether there'll be more jobs, fewer jobs, different jobs. The other thing I don't understand is if I'm an expert in artificial intelligence, how did that happen? It's so new, I couldn't take a master's degree. It just is. I couldn't find a professional organization. That's what is, and it's taking up a lot of other people's interest as well. No, I have to learn more about artificial intelligence, primarily because I want to take fear away from my clients. And I can't do that until I say, look, this is what you're going to run into. For example, I say to my clients, if you are brought in to be interviewed, the company has just told you probably that you're qualified. Well, that's a morale booster, right? Now let us suppose that you're not selected. Your company may tell you or they may not, but here's the thing that you should know, client. There are 4 reasons why you weren't selected. You will never know which one was in play. And if you did, there would be nothing you could do about it. The reason I'm doing this is because when a client is not selected, their first reaction is, I must have done something wrong. So I tell them, look, here's the first reason. There was no job. Look, the CEO's daughter is getting her MBA. Guess who we have to hire? All right. But we want to make sure that we can avoid an equal employment opportunities complaint. So you can hire, you can interview anybody you want to. There is no job. All right. Nuts. Okay. Second reason, there was another candidate who had credentials and wisdom you couldn't possibly have. This person was on the senior staff of our competitor for 8 years. Well, you can't possibly match that. Next reason, we got a package from somebody who was obviously overqualified. That's a kind of an imprecise term. Overqualified means we can't afford to pay her what she's worth, but it's the hiring decision maker. A very impressive. She obviously worked hard on it. I called her. I said, Jane, I'm going to be very straightforward with you. We would love to have you, but we can't afford you. You are overqualified. She said, you're right. But there are a couple of things that you don't know. In my current job, I am traveling 2 weeks out of every month. And in the position you're looking at, there is not that much travel. Oh, something else. My dad lives close to where your new job would be. I'm always going to give you 110%. But it's very important that I be close to my dad geographically. There's nothing you can do about that. The last reason is you're too thin, you're too tall, and we don't like the color of your glasses. Yeah, you know, companies like that you wouldn't want to work for anyhow. The whole purpose of that long harangue is to get the client to believe that unless he spilled coffee on the interviewer's lap or said something obscene during a Zoom interview, it's not his fault.
And so important to remember. For me, usually the usual is it's not meant to be. You probably have something better waiting for you. But
Well,
these are
no,
very good, true reasons and very correct.
well, consider the folklore. Where's the folklore come from? Well, I can get 30-second bites on Instagram. In other words, Instagram person, you're telling me one size fits everybody? That I'm interchangeable? I'm not. No, wait a minute. Hold on. I've got 10 top questions that you must recognize and have 10 top answers so that you can respond. A, the interview is not theater. And B, let's think about this. If I told you that I have the top 10 questions from every kind of career field in the world, what that means is I ran these questions by several thousand interviewers and got them all to agree. And the same with the answers. And so you would have to recognize the questions in no matter which order they came and how they were mentioned. You know, no wonder it's frustrating because A, it's impossible, and B, it's ludicrous.
So important for job seekers and someone getting for an interview to know all that. It's very
Yeah.
valuable advice, Don.
Now, what I tell job seekers, I'm telling them the truth. You're hired as a problem solver. Whatever job you're going through, you're there to solve problems. So there's only one standard, as far as I'm concerned, for your interview. Did you attempt to get the interviewer to tell you what their company's problem was? Because that's how value is delivered. Oh, I see your problem. Let me tell you how I might help you work on it. I say, all you have to do is attempt. I'm not talking to you about the answer. And as far as the answer goes, that goes into something I am vain enough to call Orlando's first law of employment. Everything you see and everything you hear is condoned or encouraged by the leadership without exception. So I'm interviewing for a position. And I say, Interviewer, when it comes to this position, what keeps you up at night? What kinds of problems do you have in this area? The interviewer says, we work hard and we play hard across the bridge to the 22nd century to shift the paradigm to be he doesn't know. He's already employed. Well, if he doesn't know and he's already employed, if you come on board, your job title will be firefighter. Oh, look, Hoda, I know you're working. Wait a minute. Could you wait a minute? Could you that? You learn something. That is a company that is not well run. We cannot help them, even with duct tape.
And do you really want to be working for that company at that point?
Well, I won't go into a long story, but one of my clients interviewed and found out that the company was very badly run. And she suspected that there were good people there. So when she finally did get a position, she told her new boss about it and said, I met some of these people. What I'd like to do, boss, with your permission, I want to snail mail them a copy of my business card. And on the back of the business card, I'm going to handwrite, if you are not happy with this company, come and see me. 3 executive vice presidents stolen in 8 months. Just like that.
I can confirm that it does happen. I've seen it.
Yeah, but this is very informal. About 80% of companies are badly run. And the reason I know that, because as you know, in the resume, we have to show problem solved. And when they tell me about the problem solved, a lot of them have to do with people who don't know what they're doing. In other words, the company's badly run. The bad news is that a lot of companies are badly run. The good news is if you can find a company that is well run, your chances for success are very high.
Well, I hope that we shared this tidbit for people to benefit from and to just be aware of their surroundings. I think this is one of the things I do encourage my clients as well.
Good for
So,
you.
Don, these were all the questions I had prepared for you today, but you're welcome to add one more advice or one more thought to share with the audience to help me wrap up the episode.
Yeah. Remember, you are in the business of enhancing people's lives. If you are not dedicated to that, then you don't know what standards there are. If you don't know what standards there are, you have no way of knowing whether you're performing well. And if that's what you're doing, you belong in a different field. We affect lives. Look, if I sell refrigerators and I make a mistake and I don't order enough of them or I miss the delivery, that's not good, okay? But that's one person and one refrigerator. We're a little bit different.
Absolutely, absolutely. We do affect people's life. And so it's important that we are happy and excited about what we're doing. Thank you so much for your time, Don. It's a pleasure to have you join me.
Thank you for this opportunity. Bye-bye now.
That's it for Hoda's Career Info, the program where career professionals from across the globe join me to empower you to succeed. Our guest today on Hoda's Career Info was Don Orlando. You can connect with Don on LinkedIn. Don shared in our episode today that you are hired as a problem solver. Whatever job you're going for, you are there to solve problems. What problems are you willing to solve? Think about it. Remember that you can watch Hoda's Career Info on YouTube or listen to the episodes on your favorite podcast app. To let me know if you are interested in an opportunity to talk about your work, you can send me a direct message on my website, rightcareerfit.com, where you can also sign up for my newsletter to stay up to date on the latest episodes. Please like, subscribe, share, and follow me on social media for more career info. I am your host, Hoda. Until next time, remember, your time is valuable. How are you spending it?